Okay, so that's a pretty big promise for an Outlook add-on, but what exactly can we do with the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook? Well, a couple different things here we'll summarize at a high level. You can view information from your customer engagement or your Dynamics 365 for sales contacts and leads while you're working in Outlook. You can view this information in context of an email message, a meeting, or an appointment. You can link email messages, meetings, and appointments to Dynamics 365 records with a single click. We'll show you that in a minute or so. You can open Dynamics 365 records right from Outlook, and this is super useful. Rather than opening Office.com, going through your Dynamics 365 portal and finding a specific record, you can click a link within the app for Outlook and be taken right to the specific record. Next, you can add a phone call task or new appointment activity to Dynamics. You can create a new record for any entity, which is probably my favorite feature. You can add email templates, knowledge articles, and sales literature when you're composing messages or when you're setting up meeting invites. And last but not least, you can work with a D365 partner like Profit Business Group to customize the app for Outlook to add and remove entities or to trim down the user interface to make it really easy to use. So at the end of the day, something to keep in mind, and that is becoming a workflow superhero. I really want all Dynamics 365 users to be incredibly productive, and for some of us that means staying in our email application for the majority of our day. So by saving time with the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook, you don't have to go sort of with a whack-a-mole approach in and out of different apps or different windows on your computer. You can stay in the application that you use for the majority of your communications and the majority of your day to make sure you stay productive. So again, keep that in the back of the mind as we proceed through today's webinar, that the goal here is to be a productivity champ, a productivity superhero. Now, how about the old add-in, Ryan? A lot of users may still be using the old CRM add-in for Outlook. Again, it's important to distinguish the difference between the add-in, add-on versus the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. Now, as of December 2016, Microsoft has noted that it's not the preferred way to use Outlook and Dynamics with the CRM app. You can see here in the image on the slide, in this particular screen snip of an Office app with Outlook, you can see the add-in has its own tab on the ribbon. So that's the old style add-in. It can be uninstalled, so you can use the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. And a few notes on the old add-in. It doesn't work with web or mobile Outlook clients, which the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook does. And this is more of a legacy application or a COM add-in, and it can actually slow down your Outlook application. So talk to your Dynamics 365 partner or reach out to us here at Profit Business Group to get out with the old and in with the new. Okay, so it's demo time, and we're going to demonstrate the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. We're going to be using Outlook 2019 on a demo CRM tenant, just so you can get an idea of emails coming in and out using the application. Now, a few things to note with the app for Outlook with Dynamics 365. You do need your D365 administrator to turn this on, and you should be using either Exchange or Office 365. So just a point to note here that there are a few settings that need to be set up at the administrator level so that your email and contacts and appointments do sync between Outlook and Dynamics 365. Okay, so here we are in our Outlook application here. A few things to note on the navigation of Dynamics 365 and the add-in for Outlook. Here's the old add-in. It's labeled Dynamics 365. I know in the previous slide I showed it was labeled CRM. So either way, that's sort of the telltale sign that you do have the old add-in installed, and I've just left it installed here to show you. Over here on the right-hand side in the ribbon, we do see another Dynamics 365 button and the D logo for Dynamics 365. Clicking that will launch the new Outlook app, and you can see it slides in as a panel on the right. And you can pin that so that it does stay with you all the time as you browse through Outlook, or you can unpin it and close it at any time as you need more screen real estate as well. So let's bring the app back up here and just cover some of the navigation elements to the app. And each time you do open or close the app, it's going to authenticate you against your Dynamics 365 instance, so you don't have to log in again, but sometimes that can be slow, so just a heads up there. The navigation at the top would be very familiar to what you'd be used to in the command bar in the Dynamics 365 web app. So we do have the hamburger menu, we do have a home menu, we have a back button, the plus button here is a quick create, and then any other entities, any other customizations that you've made in Dynamics 365 in the web interface will surface here in this application as well. So very handy. Again, if you don't want to go into the web interface for Dynamics 365, you can program all of your customizations to show up here in the Outlook app as well. Just to give you a sort of a taste of one of those customizations, out of the box, this menu is rather plain and only has a few entries. So what I've gone ahead and done is added a link to the leads for my sample company. So you can see my open leads here. And as well, I've added a shortcut for my tasks. And this is really clever, as it can be a replacement for a variety of to-do list solutions that you may have, even Outlook's own solution. You can integrate them to your task list or your activity list in Dynamics 365. So again, just another way to store your tasks and keep everything inside of the Outlook app. Clicking home at any time is going to take you back to your home screen. If you don't have one set, it'll take you back to a record that populates based on the email that you have selected in the preview pane in Outlook. So for example, this new email from Amy Alberts is coming in. This is an unknown recipient. It's not tracked, it's not set regarding anything. So basically what's happening as you navigate and read through different emails, Dynamics is going to reach out to the CRM database and try to match an email address from the sender or from anyone that's on CC to a record in Dynamics. So in this case it can't. We don't have Amy Alberts added. We don't have Amy A at crm792131.onmicrosoft.com in our contacts list. So again, we do have the opportunity to add her in. So we can add as a contact and we can add as a lead. So if we were potentially already doing business with the company that Amy Alberts works for, we could just add her as a contact and link her to that company. If it's a brand new potential sale, potential lead, we can go ahead and add as a lead. We'll just click that here. And now we get the quick create form. So again, some potential to customize this form to make sure you and your team are entering what you would want to get from an email lead. This could be all the fields that you would typically see on a business card, or in the case of email, in an email signature. So again, very customizable. You can make any of these fields mandatory that you'd want to pull from an email. It may be, for example, difficult to know someone's purchase time frame from an email where they mention you're just meeting at a trade show. But you do have job title. You can tie them to a company record. You can add their phone and a brief description. And then once you save and close, all of that will be stored in Dynamics 365. So here's an example of one that's all filled out. We've gone ahead and added a topic, so sort of the headline for this new lead. We don't know the budget. Purchasing time frame potentially is next quarter. We do have a drop-down menu, a selector here for the lead source, so I'm going to plop in trade show as we met this person at a trade show. Her name is automatically going to fill in from the sender records from the headers in the email, as well as her email address is automatically going to fill in. Again, if this person had a signature or had attached a V-card, for example, you'd be able to grab the phone number and her company title, for example. So let's go ahead and save and close that now, just so I can show you one more neat thing that you can do. Now that record has changed, we can click to view the record. That will actually open us a Dynamics 365 window in our browser, but we can actually do some really interesting things here still inside the Outlook app. We can change the ownership of this record. We can track it against different opportunities, for example. So some really compelling features that we can do without leaving our Outlook app. And a good example that I like to give is web contact forms. So a lot of companies have contact us forms on their website that typically goes to a distribution list, or it might go to one single person, say anyone in an administration or finance, or even in the marketing department. If someone in the marketing department wanted to add that lead and assign it out to a sales representative or to a sales manager, they could do all of that work here within the Outlook app with Dynamics 365. So they wouldn't have to leave Outlook, they wouldn't have to leave their email and the email they would get from their website to do sort of that vital work of getting that lead into CRM. Another big part of the Outlook app here for Dynamics 365 is the notion of track regarding and set regarding. So let's pick another email here. Let's pick this email from Greg. This happens to be a note about a demo. And anytime you pull this up, again, this one's not pulling in a known recipient or a known entry in CRM from this @yammer.com recipient, but we want to save this email potentially against another record. So in the set regarding section here, we have a search bar, and we can search for just about anything under the sun in our Dynamics 365 data. So we do get some filters. We can filter by accounts. In this case, we happen to be filtering by S email address, so it's pulling up all the different companies that we have. We can see all of the contacts rather that start with S. We can track emails against cases. So if you are doing customer service work from your email and you want to track a customer's email against a service ticket, you can do that. You can track against knowledge articles, again, leads, absolutely, and opportunities as well. So let's take this opportunity here for 4G enabled tablets. Let's select that. Once we see the tracking in progress, once we see that turn green, then we can rest assured that this email has been tracked against that particular sales opportunity. So there we go, successfully tracked. And we can even see some details about the opportunity after we've successfully tracked it. We can see it's for 4G enabled tablets. We can see the approximate value here. We can see the close date. And again, from here, we can take some different opportunities to edit this or to open this right into Dynamics 365 in the browser if we had needed to do more activities. Okay, next I want to show you the Quick Create menu here in the Outlook app for Dynamics 365. This can be customized as to which entities show up here, but going back to earlier in the presentation where I mentioned becoming a productivity superhero, this is a spot where you can get data into Dynamics 365 really on the fly in a quick manner. So if you do want to add a new task and tie it to a record, if you send a fax and you want to log that in your CRM, make a phone call, for example, new emails and letters as well. Appointments that you quick add here will return back to your Outlook calendar. So if you're going to visit a client and want to add that appointment. So again, as you are working through your day, receiving emails from customers, from vendors, from colleagues within your organization, and different sort of tasks need to be done or assigned, or you need to get things sort of out of email into a trusted system like your CRM, the Quick Create here can be your best friend for those sorts of things. So for example, if we want to add a new task, something though that we need to remember to do, we can set a due date and an amount of time that it's going to take. We have a status. We can change the owner, so if we do want to add a task and assign it to a different team, a different group, or even a different individual, one colleague within our organization, we can do that right here. So managers rejoice, you can add new tasks and assign those out to your colleagues all within the Outlook app here. And one last thing I want to show you here in Outlook before we wind down the webinar is when you're creating new. So let's go and open a window here for a new email. And we're not sure who we're going to send it yet, but again, we have this Dynamics 365 button in our new message window. Let's go ahead and click that. And there'll be one very subtle difference here to the navigation menu when we do authenticate. You'll see this little piece of paper here with dotted lines around it. Now, this allows us to bring in an email template from Dynamics 365. We can add sales literature to our email message that we're going to send, or we can add a knowledge-based article. So again, if we're doing customer support and we have a client that has a problem we know many other clients have had to the point where we have a knowledge-based article, we can include that article. Sales literature is very handy because we can pull on our prefabricated marketing and sales literature and just attach those documents. Rather than browsing a shared folder, for example, you can keep all of that information within Dynamics 365. So quite helpful. Again, when you're creating a new message, click on the Dynamics 365 button to see what items you can add. If you're creating a new meeting request or new calendar invite, same deal. Click on the Dynamics 365 button in that window to see what you can add to your outbound invitations. So far today we've been working in the Outlook 2019 desktop app, but I do want to show you that the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook does work in the Outlook web app as well. So here I've loaded our Outlook as part of our Office 365 subscription from the office.com portal. Now the way Microsoft has tucked in the Dynamics 365 button is a little bit tricky. So just to show you here, here's my inbox. We've got my preview pane and my reading pane. We've clicked on this email from Amy Alberts, and we see the More Actions 3 dots here in the email window, and we pull up all of our actions that we can take. Dynamics 365 is towards the bottom of the list, and clicking that's going to open that same sort of blade from the right hand side of the screen. We'll authenticate. Again, we can pin this, so if we're doing lots of work in Dynamics 365 from Outlook on the web, we can certainly accomplish all the tasks we just covered from inside this this web application. So again, if you do spend your time in OWA or Outlook on the web rather than Outlook 2016 or Outlook 2019, for example, you still can do everything that we've shown here today. Okay, that's all the material I had prepared for today's webinar. Just a quick recap of what we've covered over the last 10 minutes or so. It is very, very easy to use Dynamics 365 from Outlook. Again, that's on your desktop in Outlook 2016, 2019, for example, using Outlook on the web or OWA. And you can even do this on your mobile phone, or you can use the Dynamics 365 app for phones. The key here is to stay in a familiar application, a familiar interface, and still use your CRM. This is a good way for sales managers to drive adoption of your CRM, as you don't need to coach users on a new application or new web application. They can stay in Outlook and be about 20% trained on the interface for Dynamics 365. Now you can view your Dynamics 365 information related to emails and contacts, and again, if the record exists in Dynamics 365, the Outlook app is going to automatically populate any records that it does know about that recipient or sender. You can quick create new records from Outlook. And again, I've said a few times, this is all about being a productivity superstar. You can get more done if you stay in Outlook and focus on that interface. You can use information in Dynamics 365 when sending new emails and appointments. That could be email templates if you want to send the same thing many, many times. It can be knowledge-based articles, or it can be sales literature as well if you want to standardize that in Dynamics 365. And again, customizations are always possible, and that does apply to the Outlook app for Dynamics 365. And you can work with a partner like Profit Business Group to ensure the user interface displays the entities that you'd like and any customizations or links that you'd like to see. Again, it's all about staying in Outlook and being productive from that application.